Hey guys, wanted to make this quick video talking about my experience playing a red purple kid in Eggman's 128-man online tournament. Spoiler alert, I did not get into the top 16, but I came very close. My final match would have been for my top spot, but I unfortunately lost that with a record of 4-3. So, I was hoping to make this video talking about how amazing I did and how great the experience was, and I'm still really, really happy with the deck, but I wanted to talk through the list, talk through my matches, and then kind of talk through the changes I would make based on that experience. I'm hoping to bring this deck to locals tomorrow if I have the energy. It is about almost close to 2 a.m. when this tournament ended here on the East Coast, so I'm going to be pretty dead tomorrow, but want to bring it to locals and see if some of those changes help. But overall, I'm really happy with how the deck played. I think there were, maybe two matches where the dead draws were really decisive, and I just wasn't seeing any of the cards I needed to see. And there were a couple of matches that I think taught me a lot about how I should adjust this deck to really tech for the matchups that matter. So first, let's go through the list and let me show you what I played. So we got our leader. The first four cards on this list are our Namis. This is a Straw Hat package. So this deck runs four of the Namis. Almost the entire deck is searchable by this Nami, so you're never going to whiff. Really, really nice play if you're going first or second. And then the next card here, this is the bread and butter of this deck, the 2-drop Sanji. So really what you want to do as Kid is go second in almost every matchup, play this card, and then after they attack you on their first turn, you will be at 4 life. This card brings you to 3 life. It can swing for 7k, so you can do something like play a 3-cost Spotty, swing for 7k with this leader, and then use Kid's leader ability to swing for 7k again. Which puts you at a really advantageous position early game. There were several matches where I got people down to 2 life or 1 life before they hit 6 or 8 Dawn or something like that. So this is an amazing card. I will always mulligan if I don't see either this card or the 5-drop Kid Blocker in my opening hand, because without those two, a lot of the combos you want just won't work. Moving on, we have 4 of the Usohachi, a really nice 2k searchable by Nami. I think the matchup that I would want to play at most is Sakazuki, because its ability lets you rest a character that costs 4 or less when you attack if you have 8 or more Dawn. But the problem with that is just that Sakazuki will remove it before you ever get a chance to use it. So it could be useful for, maybe a matchup against a yellow leader who's playing a lot of Sanjus or Boulets, but most of the time it's just 2k, and I think that's perfectly fine. Searchable 2k is always really good. Next, we have our Heats, 4 of Heats. So Heat is a card that can go to 6k for your turn and your opponent's turn when you use a Dawn -1 ability on your turn. So obviously in a deck that has Dawn -1 built into their leader ability, this card is really, really good. So when I was talking about that Sanji play, one way you might do it is you play Sanji, you play Heat the next turn, and then do Sanji's ability for 7k, leader for 8, with leader ability, and then you have Heat ready to go for the subsequent turn if you play Kid Blocker, Queen, or something like that. This card, Wire, also a really amazing Kid Pirates card. It is a blocker, 3-cost blocker, 3000 power, and it lets you cycle a card when you use a Dawn -1 ability. So kind of late game, I'll try to drop as many of these as I can to survive that extra 1 or 2 turns to go for game in the following turn. There was several games today I won just because I played like 2 of these in the last turn, and I was able to survive a big swing from my opponent and go for game the following turn. Plus that cycle ability is really good if you're not seeing what you want to see. So I was kind of hoping to see this card more early game, because there was a few games where I didn't see what I wanted to see, and I didn't even have Wire. And so it would have been more useful had it come up, but most of the time just a great blocker. This is our beautiful anti-Sakazuki tech, Rush Zoro. He's really, really good. You can play him after you play Sanji on your 4 Dawn turn. So you could swing with him for 6k, swing with Sanji for 7, and then swing with leader for 7 if you use your leader ability. That is an amazing turn to do with 4 Dawn, and it's a lot of pressure that most of the time your opponent is not prepared for. So really, really good card. I call it the anti-Sakazuki tech because Sakazuki will remove every single thing you play for the most part, and so having a card that can attack before it gets removed is really, really nice. So Zoro's always a great card to see. He's a 4 of, really happy with that. Next, we have 2 of the 4-drop 6k Film Luffy card. Searchable by Nami, a 6k vanilla. It's a card I put in thinking that I could play it on my 4 Dawn turn against Sakazuki and it wouldn't be removed so easily. Unfortunately, it's still removed very, very easily because of cards like Great Eruption or Toshigi, things like that. And so he didn't do as much as I was hoping to, but he's really, really good against a Whitebeard or Red Purple Luffy. So if you're worried about those matchups, I think this is a card that can stay. But I'll actually put this one to the side because I want to talk about some changes that I might make to this list after the video. Next, we have the other bread and butter of this deck. So you got Sanji and you got your 5-drop Eustace Captain Kid Blocker. Those two cards really make this deck what it is. When you use a Dawn -1 ability, you can take a Dawn from your Dawn deck and bring it back as active with this leader. And so that gives you the option to swing and then have a Dawn up for Radical Beam. It gives you the option to swing and then play another character because you have an active Dawn. It's really, really powerful. And if you have more than one, you can actually ramp with this card. So there were a couple games where I played 2, and then I was able to go from 6 Dawn to 7 because I got 2 back after using a Dawn -1 ability. So really, really good card. Always mulligan to see either this or Sanji in your opening hand because they are so critical. But high preference on this for sure. Next we have 2 Queens. It was a last minute addition just to give more blockers, get some more cycle. It's also, excuse me, also a 6k body. So this is a card that I really, really like in this deck. I think kind of based on how today went and how I kind of struggled to see some of the cards that I wanted to see, I might actually bump this up to 4. It was at 4 a while ago, and then I was like, okay, I don't think I need it because it's not searchable. And then I brought it down and I got rid of it. But I think this is going to come back to being a 4 of, but we'll see kind of how that shakes out after some more testing. Okay, now we're moving into our top end, and there's 2 cards here that I've kind of filling the same slot for me. And I might adjust the ratios, we'll see. But we have the 7-drop Captain Kid and the 6-drop Sangro, which is a 6 cost 8k vanilla. The reason I have these at 3 and 3 is because this is a brick. This is not. Sometimes I don't want to play the 7-drop because I only have 7 Dawn, and then I don't have anything left for a Radical Beam. And so sometimes playing the vanilla is better, plus the vanilla is a 1k counter. They're both easily removable by Sakazuki because of Ice Age, which they'll always hold for those big bodies. But if you can get these out, on curve in multiple copies, it's usually really, really good. This Sangro, if you play it against other matchups like Yellow or Whitebeard, things like that, it does so much work. So good. This card is obviously really, really good, but sometimes using the Dawn -1, if you don't have Kid Blocker out, using the Dawn -1 here is kind of rough because then you can't really use Dawn -1 on your leader ability. You may not have enough Dawn left for Radical Beam. So while this card is definitely like a keep in this deck, I am happy with the 3. I just don't know if I want 3 of Sangro because, like I said, it is very easily removed by Sakazuki, and so maybe not worth it to do the split. Something to think about, but I do think it's important to have more than 4 cards at this kind of cost level, just so that you have larger bodies that are 7k, 8k, and can really help carry the game into those later stages. Because while this deck is very aggressive, you're not going to win by your 7 or 8 Dawn turn. You will likely be going to 10 Dawn, so it's important to have cards that can kind of contend in those later stages. And then lastly, another really amazing card that did so much work for me today, 2 of the 10-drop Rush Luffy. This card, whenever it has Rush, and whenever they block at any point on their turn while this is on the field, you can kill another character that has 8 cost or less. So for one of my matchups, or 2 of my matchups, this won me the game. But one specifically was because they played 2 blockers, and so playing this meant that if they blocked, I could kill both, which is what happened. And then I was able to swing with leader ability and Sangro for game after that. So really, really, really good card. I'm happy with it at 2. You see it a lot with Nami and like all those other searchers that I have. So I'm never not able to find it for the most part, but you don't always get a chance to play it. So I think 2 is like a really good number for this card. Now I want to get into the defensive aspects of this deck. So this deck I kind of play a little bit like Whitebeard in the sense that I'll go down to 2 life or 3 life as soon as possible, take as many hits as possible, try to keep my hand as large as possible, and then counter out in later stages to keep my board wide and to kind of stall out the game long enough to close it out. It's tricky when you know that 4-drop law exists, and that is a card that a lot of decks are playing, but it's kind of something you just have to play around because for the most part you want a large hand size for this deck so that you can develop board and safely protect it throughout those kind of later turns. But to that end, first thing we have 4 of the Jet Gatlings. There were times where I felt like maybe I saw this too much, but the trigger is so good. You don't need to hold any Dawn up to play it, so if I'm playing that 7-drop kid and I am at no Dawn active, this is like a really good card to help me get out of tricky situations. And there were a couple of games where I got the trigger early and I was able to play 5-drop kid or queen or something like that a turn earlier than I would have normally. And so that's a really nice. Plus, having 2 of these in my hand won me another game because I was able to counter out of a 10k swing with this 11k between it. So it's a good card. I'm happy with that at 4. I do see it a little too much sometimes, but I think it's worth it. I think it's always valuable to have in my hand, especially with, how few 2Ks we play. We only have the Sanji and the Yusahachi, so that's 8 2Ks. So this is like a nice way to turn a 1K into a 3K. Then we have 4 Rad Beams. Amazing card. No reason to ever not have it. Really easy to find with Nami. You will be at 2 life very quickly if you are playing aggressively and taking a lot of those hits. And this is just like a really great counter card. And then if you have the 5-drop kid out, this card will usually be free because you can swing with your leader ability and then you'll get a Dawn back from that 5-drop kid. And so you'll have a Dawn ready for Radical Beam, which is really amazing. So overall, awesome card. Very happy with that one. And then the last card is 2 of the When You're at Sea, You Fight Against Pirates. This is a searcher event that can find Kid Pirates, Straw Hats, or Heart Pirates. So pretty much every single thing in our deck besides this card itself and Queen. So that's 4 cards that this card can't find. I guess 3 because you can't search it if you're playing it. And so the idea being that if I don't see my Kid blocker, I can play this card and then hopefully find it. It didn't really work out that way. I feel like when I wasn't seeing Kid blocker, I wasn't seeing this anyways. I think I saw it twice and I was able to use it to find 2Ks, which was really nice. But for the most part, I don't think I needed it. Maybe I could have just played a queen in that situation and found those 2Ks that way. So I don't know. I feel like this is a card I would either want at 4 or 0. The 2 doesn't really make sense. I don't see it as much. I'm leaning towards putting it towards 0, and so I think I'm taking it out. And yeah, that's kind of the deck list that I ran today. I think these are the 4 cards that are most in question: the Searcher event and the film Luffy. And so I'll talk a little bit at the end of this video of what I might replace them with. But I am really curious to hear what you guys think about where this deck should go and how you're finding success with this deck. So wanted to go through my matches. I did go 4-3. It was a 7-round tournament, 128 people, a lot of really good matches. So the first match was against Whitebeard. That I think is one of Kid's favorite matches. Whitebeard, Red Purple Luffy, sometimes even Purple Luffy. Like these are the decks we do really well against. And so the Whitebeard match went really well. I got second. I played, I believe, Sanji on curve. I got Sangara out. I got 7-drop Kid out. I had a lot of Radical Beams to hold up for the final couple turns. So there was a few turns where we were just kind of going back and forth, holding up a lot of Dawn for counters, and then just swinging with everything else. I won that batch pretty easily. There wasn't a time where I thought, I was about to lose. So that was a good match. Second match was Katakuri. This one was a little scary. I got second again, and I saw Sanji early. I was able to play Sanji into Heat, into Kid Blocker. So, really great opening hand from me. He saw Enel on curve, and then he saw 7-drop Mom on curve. And he was getting a lot of things off life. It was definitely tricky. I definitely was, concerned about losing. I remember in my final turn, I had 2 Kid blockers and 2 wires and some Dawn up for counter. And he had a lot of attackers. He had like 2 Parasparrows, a 7-drop Mom, a 7-drop NL, and Leader, obviously. And so even with 4 blockers, he was able to play that, new event card Amaru, which rests a blocker and then gives him 3,000 power to a leader or character. And I was very scared I was going to lose. But he did not allocate his Dawn in the right way, and so I was able to take that win. I think that game could have been a loss if he played it a little differently. So, the lesson there, I think, is just to play a little more aggressively. I probably could have went for game rather than setting up all those blockers because knowing all the events that Katakuri now has, um, those blockers are kind of less and less valuable, especially the ones that cost a lot, which can be rested easily by Amaru. Um, he also like did get very lucky that game. He saw a Brule, a Sanji, a Thunderbolt, all in his life, and so even though I took second from him, he had a really good game. So I'm pretty happy with that win. I think I played it mostly as well as I could, and despite a lot of cards being stacked against me, I managed to pull through with win. The next round was Sakazuki, and this was my first loss. I did go second. I found 5-drop Kid in my mulligan, but the rest of my hand was just not that great. I didn't see 7-drop Kid. I didn't see 10-drop Luffy. I saw 7 out of the 8 2Ks we run in this deck, so it was just a lot of drawing into 2Ks. I was playing a super defensive game. Meanwhile, my opponent found 4 Rob Lucci's, 2 Rebecca's, 3 Hound Blazes, a couple Sabos. And so, despite holding on for many, many turns and bringing him down to 1 life, I did lose in the end just because I didn't have enough bodies to play. And so that was pretty disappointing. But I redeemed myself a little bit in the next round. Very narrow win against Sakazuki. Got second again. And, he had a lot of early game Hound Blazes. He played B-Hawk to get rid of a 7-drop Kid. It was definitely tough, but I did win because of the 10-drop Luffy. I was able to play that, clear his B-Hawk, clear his brand new, and then that was the game where I was able to counter out with the 2 Jet Gatlings for 11k, and that won me the game because I was able to win on Crackback the next turn. So that was a super good game, very close. Gave me a lot of hope that I would hopefully finish the day a little stronger than I did. And then the next round, which was round 5, is my 3rd Sakazuki in a row. Again, this match didn't really go the way I want. I got second again, so my rolls were kind of on point all day. I was getting a lot of wins on my death rolls, and I got him down to one life very, very early. I believe I got Sanji on curve, and then I did like a leader swing. I might have even played Zoro, so I was playing super aggressively, and he was down to 1 life. And then he just got a couple of like good Lucci plays, cleared my board a couple times. Was able to clear my 7-drop Kid very easily. Was able to play blockers because of Sabo and things like that. And I just couldn't finish it. The game, I was able to get him to 0 life, but I just didn't have that extra swing to win the game. And so he took that one. So that was a rough one. And I think I think I have some good ideas on how I can potentially tech better for those matchups in the future. And then the 6th round was a win against Katakuri. I got second again. Got a Gatling off life early that let me play the 5-drop Kid a turn earlier because I went from 4 down to 5 because of that check Gatling in life. And I almost lost because one of his last lives was the Thunderbolt. And so I had planned to have 2 Kid blockers up for that final assault, but I only had 1 because of that Thunderbolt. And this was the game I managed to survive that turn, and I squeezed by playing that 10-drop Luffy. He didn't go for game. He opted to play a Brule and a Sanji, and so I played 10-drop Luffy. I swung with it. He blocked the Sanji that killed the Brule, and then I swung 7k with my leader using leader ability and 8k with Sanguro, and that won me the game. So really, really happy with that game. Really happy with 10-drop Luffy today. I think it's a great card to keep as 2. It's like a really nice surprise finisher when you get a chance to play it. And then my last round, which would have been for like a top 10 finish, I was really hoping to squeeze it through. I would have finished 5-2 at that point. Was against a black yellow Big Mom of all things. The guy was super cool. We bonded over our love of off meta leaders, and he had like a pretty good start. Had 3-dropped Tashigi, not the one that you rest, but the one that does -3 out attacking. He got Kadatsu after that. He was able to kind of Tashigi into Gadatsu and kill my 5-cost Kid blocker. I did go second, but I just, again, didn't really see a lot of the cards I wanted to. I saw Kid blocker. I think I saw maybe 1 Queen at the bottom of my life, but outside of that, no blockers. And even though I managed to play 10-drop Luffy, I just didn't. He played Big Mom at 10-drop Big Mom at one point, and I just didn't have any blockers to kind of survive those turns. So that was kind of unfortunate. I think by the time we played that match, it was like 1 a.m. for me. So I also thought he was at 2 life, and I started to go for game, only to realize he was at 3 life, which was just like a huge misplay on my part. Probably would have played that turn a little differently and cleared his board. I think I still would have lost, but Yeah, I clearly wasn't playing at the top of my game for that one just because of how late it was and how quickly I was trying to finish that match. So that was my last match. I sadly lost that one with a 4-3 record. Not where I wanted the day to go, but really happy with how some of the matches went. And I think I got some really good intel on how this deck could be adapted to do better against Sakazuki, who is the biggest thorn on my side today. One thing I'm going to do is drop these film Luffy's. They are so easy to remove for that deck. I thought it would be a little harder because with a 3-cost character, Sakazuki can just swing, break it down to 2, and then play Houndblaze. And so I feel like 3 costs are really bad against that matchup. My logic being that 4 costs would be a little bit better. Unfortunately, that is not the case because there's still cards like Great Eruption and Suro and things like that. And so I think I'm going to drop that and instead get Jet Pistol. So 2 copies of Jet Pistol would help me remove Lucci's. So a little bit of kind of counter value. If he plays Lucci to kill 2 of my characters, I can play Jet Pistol to kill his Lucci. And then I can also play Jet Pistol to kill Sabo, as long as Sabo's effect is inactive. So I could get some good value out of a Jet Pistol. So I think out of 2 of it should be really good. I'm also thinking of dropping these cards and just bringing Queen up to 4. I think probably just better to have a 5-cost 6k blocker that can draw me 2 and trash 1, rather than having this Searcher event for top 3 that I almost never see, even though it has a trigger, which is really nice. It just wasn't as good as I was hoping, so I think drop this, bring Queen up. Queen also has counter. So I think those are probably the 2 changes I'm going to make. I'm not really sure what else I could do to tech against Sakazuki a little better. Maybe you could play King, the 6-drop King, to kill Lucci, and still develop your board. That's something he's not really searchable by the deck. I mean, he also is no counter, but it's a good ability that might play well into that matchup. Outside of that, I'm not sure what I would consider, unless I was going kind of for a very different build that focused on power reduction and then removal through that, which isn't really kind of how this kid plays. But I think there's a lot of different ways to build him if you're creative enough. But curious to hear what everyone else thinks. I know, probably not super interesting to watch a video about a deck that placed 20 something in a 128 man tournament, not top 16, but I thought, it might be helpful to hear about the things that went well, the things that didn't, and how I kind of will adjust the deck going forward. I am not giving up on this leader. I had a lot of fun playing him today, and the matches that I won felt really good. The matches that I lost felt like I learned something, and so I'm hoping to kind of take that and bring it to locals tomorrow if I can make it, and kind of get hopefully a better outcome at a much smaller scene, and then take that somewhere else. I know Eggman is probably going to host another tournament next month, so I'm going to try to get into that and bring him there one more time, and hopefully get a nice win right before Nationals. But we will see kind of how the deck evolves between now and then, and if another leader potentially catches my eye. Overall, really happy with today, despite not the best outcome, and hope you guys enjoyed hearing about my deck and my matches. I didn't record anything just because I really wanted to focus on the matches, and given how late it was, I figured I wouldn't be very interesting to listen to. But I took some notes on all of them, and so I was able to kind of recap exactly what happened and what went well and what didn't. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and love to hear what you guys think about the list, how you would adjust the list, how you would adjust it for Sakazuki, how you would play against Katakuri and NL. Couple of things I learned, about those specific matchups. Like, I really like going first against NL. I don't like giving him the first curve because he can play Gadatsu and kill pretty much anything on my board. So that's like a couple learnings. I went second against Sakazuki all day. I'm not sure if that was actually the best move. It steals it from him, but I don't know that I want him to have first, because with 5 Don, he can play Great Eruption and then play Lucci afterwards, which is kind of the opposite of what I want him to do. So yeah, curious what your strategies are against those matchups, and just kind of want to hear your thoughts on things. All right, thanks everyone. See you in the comments.